All right, WCM Sports fans, welcome back to our second installment of the summer interview series where I'm talking to former athletes and seeing what they're up to now, whether it's in or outside of Wise County. This week, we got a super special guest, and that is head coach of Lindsay Volleyball and Boyd graduate Rylee Spencer. We got into talking about her time at Boyd High School playing volleyball and basketball, her time at Howard Payne playing volleyball, and kind of what she's up to now, gearing up for her very first season as head coach of Lindsay. Let's jump right
Oh
into
my
it.
gosh.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep this in for the recording. Or maybe it'll be a blooper reel or something like that. Um yeah, let's just jump straight into things. So, like we were just talking a minute ago, you graduated from Howard Payne in May, right?
Yes, I did.
And then you get a call from Lindsay saying, "Hey, we want to bring you onto the staff." And then you end up actually taking the head coaching position. So, can you kind of walk me through like crossing the stage at college graduation and up until now, kind of what your life has been like and how crazy that has been jumping straight into a head coaching career?
Yes. So I found out about like a week and a half before graduation that I would actually end up being the head coach. And so I had a phone call with the AD and he was just telling me like everything I needed to like start preparing for. And I kind of like had a oh no moment where I was like, this is a lot. But like since then we have all new coaching staff on the girls' side and they're all experienced coaches. So they've been giving me lots of tips and answering all of my questions and stuff like that. And so I've just been going to summer league, which they play at Ponder on Tuesday nights. And then I've been at summer workouts for this is my second week. And so getting to know the girls and what I have to work with and stuff like that. So it's been a lot, but it's been fun learning what I need to get done.
And Lindsay is like, I mean, one of the premier volleyball programs in the state, or as far as like small school. I don't know. I was trying to look
Yes.
back and see when the last time they missed playoffs, and I got through every Max Preps record, and I got to like 04, and they were still making playoffs. So
Yeah.
yeah, what's it going to be like? I mean, you obviously have a good support system around you. It sounds like
Mhm.
from the coaching staff. How excited are you to get into a head coaching job where there is a lot of history there and there is a lot of
Mhm.
success? How exciting is that for you?
Well, I was already excited knowing because I played Lindsay in high school, so I knew that they were always been a good team. And so I knew I wasn't walking into like a rebuilding year or anything like that. And so I had high expectations going in. And then once I got there and got to see the girls play, I was like, okay, well, this makes my job a lot easier because these girls already know what they're doing. And so it's a relief, but also it's a standard that I have to upheld and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
At what point in your life did you know you wanted to be a coach? Has this been like always a passion of yours since you were little, or is it something that you came into later in life?
I would say I've kind of always, I'd say right when I got to high school and we started talking about what we want to do when we're older, I always wanted to be around sports. Did sports growing up and just can't imagine not being around it. And some of the most important people in my life close to me have been coaches and I still talk to this day. And so like I've kept all my stuff from high school, all our like team contracts and scouting reports and stuff like that, because I knew that I'm probably going to use these in my future. And so I kept all that stuff to look back on and have a reference and stuff. It was important at the time. And so I know it'll be useful going forward.
When did you start playing volleyball, or when did you like start? Have you always played sports since you were like 5 years old? I'm assuming.
Yes. So basketball was my main thing. That was what I thought I'm going to go to college for. And then my old coach, Coach Crafton, introduced volleyball in like sixth grade. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I realized I was like, maybe I like volleyball more. So I started playing volleyball in sixth grade and then just took off from there. Still played basketball, but enjoyed volleyball a little bit more.
Do you come from a pretty athletic family?
Yeah, my dad's pretty tall. He played sports in high school. My mom's pretty short, but she did track in high school. And then my brother, who still goes to Boyd, he plays in a lot of sports.
What can you think of a point in time where you were like, I'm really good at volleyball, or like, is there a point in time where you were like, hey, I might be able to get myself into college doing this?
Um, I would say really not till my senior year of high school. I played on a team full of girls who were very good and had been playing for a long time and played club. And I never played club because it was during basketball season and I wanted to play basketball. And so senior year, it was kind of a realization that I can do more things than what I was doing in the past. And I was able to play a different role. And so senior year, Coach Crafton had talked to me and said, "Hey, this college was interested in you." And I was like, "Really? Are you sure?" And so I went and toured there and I was like, "Oh, I could reach out to other schools." So then I reached out to Howard Payne and got to go there.
Yeah, what was I know like there's some people that have nightmare recruiting stories. And I'm just interested in, especially, I mean, it feels like recruiting changes year by year. Like
Yes.
last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking to Jared Kate, who graduated from Boyd in 2012, and like recruiting then and recruiting now is not even in the same stratosphere. And I feel like even
Mm,
since, when did you graduate? 2020,
21.
21? Yeah, I feel like
Hmm.
even in the last, 4 years, it's changed. So,
Hmm.
yeah, what was your recruiting process like besides like just reaching out to schools and sending them film or whatever?
Yeah, I really wouldn't say that I was recruited by one college, but I decided not to go there. And then I would say I just reached out to like a conference of schools, and Howard Payne had reached back, and the coach at the time. She was like, "Come on a tour," and I went toward the school, and I was like, "I really like it here." And I knew that the volleyball team wasn't the best, but I was confident in my ability to maybe change that. And so I'd say I wasn't really recruited. I reached out, and they were like, "Sure, come on,"
Awesome.
which is fine with me.
You mentioned, okay, so I was actually going to get into this later. I think it's really interesting. I don't know how many games did y'all win your freshman year at Howard
Oh
Payne?
gosh, like
Like,
three.
yeah, and then I mean, those first 2 years were pretty tough sledding, but then
Yes.
you jump to your junior year
Mhm.
and you're part of like a historic team, right? It's the first
Yes.
first
It was a
volleyball
crazy
team
year.
to win a ASC postseason game.
Yes.
Okay, what do you remember about that transition between sophomore and junior year? And like, did you go into junior year with higher expectations? Did you know things were on the upswing, or did it just kind of like all come together at the right time, kind of randomly?
So my freshman year, we had a coach and she ended up leaving. And then we had Coach Josh come in and he didn't have the chance to recruit his people. And so sophomore year was kind of the same as freshman year. And then going into my junior year, he had an open gym where the new recruits got to come in. And this was in July. And we started playing and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like we're not gonna have another year like that again." And so just seeing the talent that came in, I was like, "Yes, this is gonna be different." And so I knew it was gonna be that different, or I knew it was gonna be different, but didn't know like all the crazy things we were gonna do.
Yeah, and I was trying to read like recaps and box scores
Hmm.
of those tournament games and that UT Dallas game that y'all won. You had five
Hmm.
blocks in a 3-1 win. What do you remember about
Yes.
your personal performance from that game? Is that one that
Oh
like kind
my
of sticks
gosh.
out in your career as like a highlight?
Yes, that game, that was probably one of my best games and just one of the most fun games I've ever played. And like, it was our first conference win. It was the first time a number 6 seed had ever beat a number 3 seed. And it was the first time Howard Payne had ever beat UTD. And so, like, that was their last year of D3 volleyball. The next year, they were
Mhm.
going like that weird period before they go D2. And so we were like, we ended their D3 career with a loss. And so that was really cool. It was just a lot of cool things happening in that game. But personally, yes, that was one of my favorite games I've ever played in.
Then I want to go back to we touched a little bit on Boyd, multi-sport athlete at Boyd. Did you play volleyball, basketball? Did you run track as well?
I ran track my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay. And that 2018 volleyball team under Dusty Crafton, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
the one that made to the state championship match. What do you remember about that year and just like how special that group of girls was and how good that team was? Because that I feel like
Mhm.
that 2017 and 2018, that time period was really when people took notice of Boyd volleyball.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a really fun year and I really honestly don't remember as much as I should because I was so young. But it was our freshman year I got pulled up for playoffs. I wasn't on varsity, but I was pulled up and I got to experience that. And then sophomore year I was like, okay, now I got to play the game. And so that was I was nervous at first, but then I just kind of settled in and just realized I just got to play volleyball. But it still didn't turn out the way we wanted, but I still remember it being fun and we made it the furthest we could. So, but it was a fun year.
What's the most memorable thing for you about playing for Boyd, whether it's like your teammates or, Coach Crafton, or just like even like, a random time hanging out with your teammates? Like, what were some of the things that you still hold on to this day as like great memories from being at Boyd High School?
hmm I would say now that I'm in a coaching role, I look back on all the things that Coach Crafton did and also made us do. Like we did a lot of team bonding, and at the time, didn't realize. I thought we were just going to someone's house to eat dinner, but I realize now that like that is really a bonding experience. And we did like little activities during team bonding, and we did a lot of community service, like going to the nursing home in Azle. And so this is stuff that like I'm going to carry with me throughout my coaching career and try to implement in my program. So just little things like that were memorable.
How many people have reached out, whether it's like former players or former coaches? How many people have you heard from since you were announced as the head coach of Lindsay?
Pretty much all of my coaches that I've had, pretty much all of them giving me advice, telling me stuff that I need to know, and just pretty much all my coaches.
Awesome. That's great. Like I said, it sounds like you have a great support system around you, and especially with like the rich history of Boyd
hmm
volleyball and Lindsay volleyball, and that the fact that you were a collegiate athlete, you have that like
hmm
legitimacy to you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in a great position. Yeah, so like again, like we were talking about off camera, 2019, September 5th,
hmm
2019, a day that, really changed Boyd volleyball forever. And that was the passing of your teammate, Ashley Fouts. How were y'all able to navigate that as a team, and kind of what effects did it have on your team? Obviously, it's tragic and I can't imagine going through that, but I'm sure there was some like strength that came out of that and unity that
hmm
came out of that. What do you remember about that time, and like how you handled that as a team?
That honestly, we relied on the Fouts a lot, Liz and Bill. Like they would come and talk to us. If we had questions, we would go and talk to them. We spent a lot of time at their house. And I want to say we didn't like ask for permission, but we had a game pretty soon after that. And she came and talked to us and she was like, I want y'all to play. Like Ashley would want y'all to play. And that has changed my life so much going through that. I still talk to Liz pretty often, and we'd already talked, and she at some point wants to come talk to the Lindsay girls and just do a little segment about being kind and stuff like that, because that's what Ashley was all about. And so that is something I carry with me. I talked about it every year in college. We did like a little share thing, and that she was always someone I talked about, and it's just something that I'll carry with the rest of my life.
Yeah, whenever I first got to the Messenger, I guess about a year after, I covered a Boyd volleyball game. That was the anniversary of her passing.
hmm
And, I was, as an outsider, even I was kind of overwhelmed with just like the
hmm
love and support, and how even the opposing team, were wearing,
Yes.
ribbons for her for the Be Kind Like Nine
hmm
movement. What kind of person was Ashley?
Oh, she was great. She was so silly and goofy. She didn't know a stranger. We talked about all the time. We went to a tournament in Glen Rose, and we were getting snow cones. And she ends up talking to this family that was in line behind us and ends up like playing with their baby and stuff. And I don't even remember if she got a snow cone, but she was so caught up with those people that we'd never even met. But she was just this person who would talk to everybody and made everybody feel welcome. And she was a great person overall.
And you wore number two in high school, but
hmm
then when you went to Howard Payne, you decided to take on number nine, like Ashley wore. And I think Riley Brazil did that as well. She wore number
Riley
nine,
Brazil did,
or
yes.
is wearing number nine, I
Yes, she
guess.
still is. Yep.
Yeah, why was it so important for you to carry on that legacy? And I know numbers are super important to athletes.
Yes.
Everyone, I think everyone knows that. And
Uh-huh.
it might seem like a small thing to change your number, but I feel like that was a big move by you. Why did you
Hmm.
feel the need to do that and to, uphold her legacy?
I just felt like it was something I was called to do. And I really didn't have like an emotional attachment to number two. And so when I got to college, they were like, had the numbers listed out. And I was like, yeah, I'll take nine. That's what I want. And I just felt that that was something I could do to honor her and continue to remember, like, hey, this is one of the reasons why you still play volleyball. This is what grew your love for volleyball and stuff like that. And I know Liz likes to see pictures of it when I'm wearing number nine. And I had a blue hair tie that I wore every single game in college. And so Liz always knew like she's wearing that because she's honoring Ashley.
So you get to Howard Payne in fall of 2021.
Yes.
How was the big city of Brownwood?
Oh God. Well, it definitely had a lot more than Boyd, but it
Right.
was still kind of I'm out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But we made fun of it and we found stuff to do, kept busy. Not much to have time outside of volleyball in the first semester. So volleyball kept me busy, but Brownwood it's growing, but it wasn't very grown when I got there.
How much of a full-time commitment is being a college athlete? I mean, I know people describe it as a full-time job, especially when you're a student athlete and like,
Hmm.
at a D3 school, when you know you're there for school and you're afforded the opportunity to play volleyball, not like an SEC school where it's like I'm going to be here for a couple years and get paid.
Yeah.
How much of like a full-time job and balancing act is it being a college athlete, especially like at a small school like Howard Payne?
Hmm. It was a lot. It was very overwhelming at first. I may have called my mom and told her to come get me, but she said no. And I'm glad she didn't come get me. But I was very overwhelmed. But then I realized, like, hey, you're doing this because you enjoy doing it. And then like I'll figure out school. School's always come pretty easy to me. And so balancing it at first was hard, but then I realized also like I'm here because I like volleyball. I enjoy playing volleyball. And yes, it feels like a job sometimes, but I get the privilege of going to do this. And some people my age don't. And so I always thought of it like that. And I also thought, what would someone think of their coach that went to play a year of college volleyball and was like, okay, I'm done. And so that
Yeah.
was also a driving thing that I want to have this experience to talk about and gain or grow my knowledge on volleyball and stuff like that.
I know we got into it a little bit. You mentioned it briefly, but as far as like prep work and learning, like you're not only learning a new roster and a new district and a new school, but you're
Hmm.
also learning a new job entirely. What
Yeah.
it like how many hours are you putting in and what is the prep work looking like up until your, first home game or first scrimmage?
Hmm. It's a lot. And at Lindsay, girls don't just play volleyball. It's they do everything, which is perfectly fine with me. I love that. But I don't always get like this week they're at a team basketball camp, so I only have a few varsity players, but I know they're getting work. And so like just trying to make rotations for girls that may or may not be there or something like that. So I've been making a lot of rotations, been trying to make a schedule. That's pretty hard to do when you have no other coach's phone numbers. um Also just trying to figure out and what I'm going to teach. Like I also have to teach. I don't get to coach, sadly.
Right.
But so having the coaching aspect and teaching aspect has been a little overwhelming, but I'm trying to think of it as it's like college, like school and a sport. So it's been a lot, but I keep telling myself it'll be okay.
Again, Lindsay, super successful, very like one of the most respected programs in the state. What does the team look like this year as far as like returners or like up and comers,
Mhm.
and roster size? Kind of what's the makeup of the team this year?
I think they had about three or four seniors graduate, one being the setter and the libero. But I'm still really confident in the girls that are coming up. The setter that just graduated, her sister is a junior, and she'll probably be my setter. And but I'm really confident in where we're at. It's not a rebuilding year. It's a continue with the success they've had.
And you mentioned a lot of girls at Lindsay, like a lot of small schools. They're playing every sport that's offered, and they're doing stuff year round. And you're a multi-sport athlete, like like you said. How important do you think it is to be a multi-sport athlete and be well-rounded?
Hmm. I think it's super important. Like, I really, I mean, I understand wanting to do one sport, but like, there's benefits from every sport. And so I've never been one to be like, they just need to do this because I really don't see the point in it. But it's really important that they do as much as they can.
What sport translates the most to volleyball? Is it basketball? Like the skill base?
Probably just because of the jumping and the explosiveness. But yeah, and track also, track helps with everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you return to Wise County to play like Alvord or Chico, do you think that's going to be a weird feeling for you, like knowing that you grew up like right down the road from these places and now you're in that gym, not as a player, but as a coach, and they're probably going to be, people that you grew up with or, parents or family
Hmm.
members, whoever being there to watch you? Is that going to be a pretty weird feeling for you?
Well, actually, our first scrimmage is at Boyd. And so my
Oh,
first coaching
really?
job, yes, will be at Boyd. So I'm actually really excited.
When is that?
August 8th. We haven't posted our schedule yet because I barely put it, or it's put together. I just have to get it approved. But our first scrimmage is August 8th at Boyd.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be there for that for sure. That's awesome. I didn't realize that because I was trying to like,
Yes.
make these kind of loose connections with Alvord and Chico, and it wasn't perfect. But
Uh-huh.
that's actually crazy that Did you schedule
No, that
that?
was
Like,
already on there. It was already
oh,
on there.
really? That's
Yes,
insane. Okay,
I
awesome.
know.
When was the last time you played Lindsay as a player?
The first and last time was my senior year.
Okay,
So pretty fresh off my mind,
okay.
somewhat. But like, yeah, senior year we went and played at Lindsay. I don't
Do
know if they played since, but
okay. Do you think you're going to get like a red carpet rolled out or a standing ovation when you show
I
up?
don't know. But I'm definitely gonna show my girls my pictures on the wall.
Yeah, there you go. Get to flex on a little bit. Yeah, it looks like I've only got like 5 minutes left on this meeting
Okay.
because I don't have the premium version, I guess. I need to invest in that. Um, but yeah, any final words before I let you go?
I'm just excited. I'm excited to start my coaching career, my head coaching career. Just I'm excited to get going and yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Coach Rylee Spencer. I'm gonna only refer to you as Coach now. We'll be rooting for you back home, except on August 8th, and not when you play Alvord or Chico. But other than
Yeah.
that, hope you
Every other
go out
time.
there. Yeah, hope you go out there and kill it and make another awesome run with these girls. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
You too.